The Sufi Message of Hazrat Inayat Khan, Volume 2, The Mysticism of Sound, Centennial Edition. The Vina. You wish to hear from me the praise of the Vina. Therefore, I shall quote the words of a great Indian poet in Sanskrit, who says, in praise of the Vina, that with an instrument of gut strings, by looking at it, by touching it, by hearing it, you can be made free, even if you kill a Brahmin, the greatest sin. The instrument was invented by the Lord of Yogis, Shiva, whose name is Mahadeva, who gave to the world his lifelong experiences in the practice of yoga, and who is worshipped in India as a godhead, and whose literature is considered holy scripture. He was a great master of breathing and an ascetic. He lived in the mountains, where he sat and breathed the free air of the wide horizons of the east, and practiced mantras, words and phrases which changed the whole being of a person. There he wanted to make some experiment on himself, higher exaltations by the help of music. In the forest, what he cut was a piece of bamboo. He took 2 pumpkins, made them hollow, and dried them, and tied them around the bamboo. Gut strings he got from animals, and these gut strings he tied upon it. In this way he made his first Vina, and he practiced on it in the solitude. There is a quotation that when the deer in the forest used to hear him play the Vina, they used to say, "Make the gut strings of my own entrails and put them on your Vina, but as long as I live, continue to play." Mahadeva made his experiments by the help of the human body and mind, considering its condition in the morning, in the midst of the day, in the afternoon, in the night, when wakened at dawn. And he found that every time of the day and night had a particular effect upon the human body and spirit, and that a rhythm akin to that particular time must be prescribed psychologically and mystically in order to elevate the soul. And therefore, a psychological science of music was made by Mahadeva, a science which is called raga, meaning emotion controlled and utilized to the best purpose. When his consort Parvati saw the instrument, Parvati said, "I must invent my Vina." So she took half of the part of the pumpkin and put a body on that, and produced another kind of Vina, the Saraswati Vina. So there are 2 Vinas. One is played by men, the other by women. On this instrument, not only sharp and flat notes are produced, but also semitones, and in this way the music becomes rich. But to develop the science of semitones is so difficult that it takes a lifelong time. Musicians of India devote 12 hours of the day to this, and for years they practice these different rhythms, improvising on them, and in the end, they produce a psychological effect, which is not music, it is magic. A music that can thrill a person and that can penetrate through the human heart is not necessarily a noise. It is a dream, a meditation, it is paradise. By hearing it, one feels in a different world, yet their music is hardly audible. Instead of playing before thousands of people, only 1 or 2 or 3 persons of the same quality in nature and vibration must be together to enjoy that music thoroughly. If a foreign element is present, the musician does not feel inspired. You will be amused to know a fine singing musician was invited to play the Vina. The musician came with a Vina and was welcomed. He opened his Vina, then he looked here and there, and found some discomfort and discord. He covered his vina, saluted, and went, indisposed to play. Those present felt disappointed and begged him to play. He said, "Go. I cannot play no matter what you give me. I do not feel like playing." This is quite a different thing from making a program for the months ahead. Musicians in the West are bound 6 months before to play a certain program. They are helpless. But in this way, it is not music. It is labor. They are bound to it, mechanically bound. Would you believe that singers in the East never think what they are going to sing or play before they start to do it? They feel the atmosphere of the place and the time, and whatever comes to mind, they begin to sing or to play it. It is quite a different thing. I do not mean to say that a music of this kind can be universal music. It belongs to some rare persons in a remote place. In India, musicians are dying now for the lack of appreciation. Those potentates, those gurus, those teachers of high inspiration who lived in the past appreciated this music. Even in India, people are becoming industrial and civilized, and music is dying away. Now those musicians of before, who would make all those who listened spellbound, do not exist any longer. Among millions, there are perhaps 3 or 4, and they will have vanished in a few years. Maybe one day the Western world will waken to India's music as now the West is wakening to the poetry of the East, as it is beginning to appreciate such works as have been written by Rabindranath Tagore. There will come a day when they will ask for the music of that kind, and then it will not be found. It will be too late. But there is no doubt that when that music, which is magic, which is built on a psychological basis, if that music will be introduced in the West, it will root out all such things as the jazz band. People seem to spoil their senses. This music is destroying people's delicacy of sense. Thousands every day are dancing to jazz music, but they forget the effect it has upon their spirit, upon their mind, upon their delicate senses. I know of a prince of Rampur who wanted to study music from a great teacher, and the teacher said, "I can only teach you on one condition." He knew the character of the prince, who was fond of music, and he understood that many musicians would want to show their talent before him. The teacher said, "I do not want you to hear any musician who is not an accomplished artist, because your sense of music must not be destroyed. It must be preserved for delicate music. It must be able to appreciate the fine intricacies of it." Particularly when the education of the public destroys the delicacy of its musical appreciation, it cannot help that people do not like to hear that which really is music, that they prefer jazz. Instead of going forward, they go backward. And if music, which is the central theme of the whole human culture, is not helping people go forward, it is a great pity. Vina music has a likeness to the human voice. If you hear the vina played, you will never think that it is an instrument. You cannot imagine that it is an instrument. Even a gramophone record of the singing of a person is artificial, crude, and rigid, and not having that charm of human voice, loses its magnetism and charm. But the vina is more attractive, more impressive, and all the delicacies of the human voice and the silky structure of it are finished in the sound of the vina.